First home game of the year. We're going to open up with questions over here to the right. Jeremy.
Hey, Ryan, obviously, first time in a long time for having recruits at Ohio Stadium. And how much preparation do you guys put into this week, knowing that you have obviously a huge game, but how do you balance that going into this weekend?
Yeah, I think that recruits have been talking about coming to this game since they saw it on the schedule, and we'll have a big number here. It's great to have families be able to see the crowd and the experience here of game day, which we're hoping is one of the best it's been in a long, long time around here. It's been, I guess, over 600 days since we've had a full stadium here, in the Horseshoe. And what a big game, Pac-12 team coming in here. So, yeah, I think, the recruits and their families are going to be excited to be here. And the experience, every time you visit campus, it's a different experience. This is obviously a unique one, first time back, and, really hoping that the crowd is excellent.
Expectation setting you have to do with kids coming from around the country and saying, hey, maybe not till after the game we can talk to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is all about winning this game right now. And I assume they understand that they're not going to get as much attention as they typically would.
Second row middle, Dave.
Ryan, you talked about this after the game a little bit about just keep swinging. It seems like you guys stuck to the game plan offensively. How difficult is that? I think that can be maybe easier said than done. There's a great quote from Mike Tyson, everybody's got to play until they get punched in the mouth. You guys seem to stick with the game plan. Just how difficult is that as a coach?
I think you have to make that decision before you get out in the field, because you take the emotion and everything else out of it. When you're there trying to make those decisions in game, it gets hard. And I think that's where, all the game planning, all the decisions that you're making for the most part are done like now, Wednesday, Thursday as we head into it, because when you can get into those situations, you can feel the emotion of the game, and that's not typically when the best decisions are made. So we try to make those decisions ahead of time. No matter what happens, this is the best plan to win, and you got to stick with it.
They're talking about injuries as a touchy subject. How much can you share about Josh Proctor, Sevin Banks, and Cam Brown?
Yeah. I mean, that's, when we went to the availability report, we kind of took that out of it for a lot of reasons, and certainly there are different situations for each person, and we just felt like moving forward, the best thing to do is not comment on any type of injuries.
Second row right, Joey.
Ryan, when you were reconfiguring the offensive line and putting guys in different spots, what ultimately about Nick Petit-Frere made you feel good about putting him at left tackle?
Well, first, he's very talented, and we wanted to try to find our best five on the field at once, and we moved those guys around, and I think Thayer is really going to increase his value by now showing that he can play two positions, and so that's going to pay huge dividends for him down the road. But moving Nick over and then DeJuan over at right tackle is something that we felt allowed us to get the best five on the field.
Did Nick show any traits that you felt confident about him being left tackle specifically? Because obviously that's a position where you're going to face pass rushers like maybe Thibodeaux this week. Yeah,
I mean, we obviously felt like he could do it. He could do it on the right side. Doing it on the left side is a little bit different. If you're right-hand dominant, left-hand dominant, but it's still just as important that the right tackle and the left tackle are doing their job. So making that move has been good for him. And we obviously has a huge challenge this week.
Third row left, Dan.
Ryan, we're running back rotation on Thursday. You guys had 4 guys in there. Nobody got more than 9 carries. Now that you come out of that first game, you've had a chance to watch the film. Do you look at trying to shorten that rotation this week and get, some of the top guys more carries?
I think so, yeah. It was a very unique game. I think we had 48 gradable snaps, and I think going into the last drive, I think it was 42. Very unique game, very strange game. To have 45 points on 48 plays. I don't remember being in a game with that few plays. So I wish we had more plays that we could evaluate. But yeah, I think that, moving into this game, that's probably the goal.
Did Mayan do what he needed to do to kind of, secure himself as that starting running back? And with Travion making that big play, does that kind of put him in position for more?
Again, it's not a lot of plays. I mean, yeah, they made some plays and they did a good job and did what they were supposed to do. But it's hard over just a handful of plays to make some hard decisions, but we're gonna do that and try to figure out what's best to win this game.
Third row right, Tony.
Ryan Travion Henderson in there at the end. Was that your call? Was that Tony's call? Who wants to take credit for that one?
For being in the game at that point? Yeah, I let Tony make the decisions on that. I give him my input, but at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect and trust in Tony, and he knows those guys intimately, and he's going to roll those guys in, and in that moment, he felt like he gave us the best chance to be successful, and that one turned out. So, and that's part of being, as an offense and working together for now, I guess, going on 5 years, is you get to know each other pretty good, and that's the trust that you build.
And would that play have been called, his touchdown play, would that have been called no matter which running back was in there, or did you call it for him?
Yeah, I mean, there are times, I think, where we'll call certain plays based on who's in the game, but that's really hard as a play caller. I mean, there's so many things you're taking into consideration: down distance, the quarterback, where you are in the field, the situation in the game, whether it's raining or not. I mean, so many things. And then all of a sudden, you look up and see who's in the game. So we try to do that, but that's very difficult to do.
Second row left, Steven.
Just kind of following up on the recruiting thing. You guys, some people might use big games as a reason to have more official visitors on campus. You guys clearly aren't trying to do that. You handled a lot of that heavy lifting in the summer. Why take that philosophy with it? Well,
there's a balance. I think that when the more people you bring on campus, the less attention you can spend with each person. But there's also a part of being here on game day and seeing this type of environment. And I wish we could invite everybody in the country and take everybody on, but there's a limitation on all of that. And we want to make sure we're doing a good job with the people who are on campus.
Far right over here, Clay.
You talked about the need for a great atmosphere. There are 10,000 tickets still out there. How does that strike you, and any pleas for more?
Well, no, I mean, I think that when you look at this game, it's the first time there's been a game in the Horseshoe, and again, over 600 days, and we need Buckeye Nation in this game. I mean, it's a very, very big game for our program, and we need them to be loud, especially on third down. And we need them to be loud when they have the ball. I think the last game that we played here was when Penn State played, and that was as loud as I've heard it. And we need that same type of environment here, and it's got to be an advantage for us. And they're communicating, and if we can force them into a silent count, then that's an advantage us. And the louder and the more we can feel this crowd, the better we're going to play.
Do you think that's COVID? Do you think that's the price? That sellouts, a lot of places aren't automatic anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in this past year, there's a lot going on and a lot of dynamics at play. But to have, if not 100,000, over 100,000 people at a game like this says a lot about Buckeye Nation after everything we've been through. And I know that there's so many people who are going to be dying to go into that shoe and see the band and see us run out of that tunnel and obviously cheer on the Buckeyes and be together for a weekend. I think that's something that everybody misses around here, and I know there's a lot of people looking forward to it.
Sixth row left, Brendan.
Coach, back here, I want to ask about Jeremy Rucker. He didn't really show up a lot on the stat sheet. There were a couple of really, really big blocks that he made that sprung touchdown plays. For folks that maybe didn't catch those blocks or see the reaction on the sideline, what's it do to a team when you see a guy make a play that can spring something big for your offense?
Yeah, I thought he played well, graded a champion. Again, when you have 48 plays in a game and you're 50-50 in terms of run pass, that's not a lot of touches. So he made a really good catch on the one. Executed that really, really well, and had a few other things designed for him that didn't quite go his way. But I thought he did a good job blocking, and I think that's a huge part of his game right now is that he's become a well-rounded player. He can do a good job in the pass game, but he also can block, and that's going to serve him well in the future and give him a lot of value and versatility.
You spoke to us a lot last week about the importance of tackling in this game. On one hand, 50 carries for 200 yards with one big broken run is a nice number. On the other hand, some missed tackles. How did you evaluate that part of the game?
Yeah, kind of like what you just said. There's some good things for sure. There was also some missed tackles. The fourth down and one was disappointing that we let him score it out like that. But there weren't a ton of explosive plays, so that was good. But I think, first off, we had a great running back there, and Abraham, obviously terrible news to see him out for the season because he's one heck of a back, runs really hard, and college football could really use him right now. And I know that's a big break or a big setback for that team because I think that they're a very good team and very well coached. But he broke some tackles. He did. We also got him on the ground at times. So do I think it was great? No. Do I think it was awful? No. Somewhere in between. And then we got to grow this week. Different challenge this week. Very, very skilled and very quick. And so we're going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to tackle and get guys on the ground. And then hopefully those runs, that went for 5 or 6 can go for 3 or 4, and then we can get them on the third down.
Fourth row middle. Rob?
Brian, I'm doing something on Chip Kelly's influence on Oregon. I know you New Hampshire guys are thick as thieves. How closely did you watch what he was doing there, communicate with him during that time?
Yeah, we talked yesterday. We talk all the time. He's very, very close to me. In the summers, his summer home is right across the street from mine, and his wife and my wife are very, very close. So yeah, we've always stayed very, very close, share thoughts and ideas and just about everything, not just football. And he's obviously been a huge mentor for me and a very close friend.
Did you have an opportunity to go to Oregon at all? I know the timing didn't totally line up. Did you have that chance?
We talked several times about going there. It was very hard for me at the time. I just had RJ, and I think Nina at the time was pregnant with Grace, and thought long and hard about doing it, but it was just too far to go at the time, and didn't want to, with a young family, go all the way across the country. And Chip was great. He said, "That's why I love you, because you love your family so much." And he said, "We'll coach together someday." And then lo and behold, about 5 years later, we're out in San Francisco together on the other side of the country working together. So that's football.
Last thing, did it surprise you that he jumped to the NFL at all? I'm sure did he bounce that off you at all? How did you guys discuss that?
So he's a wonderful coach. He's had success at all levels. He loves football. And it's great to see him building that program back up at UCLA. I think he walked into a very difficult situation, and he's had a lot of patience there the last couple of years and building it the right way. I think that things are going well for him, and I think they're going to have a bright future there because he's one of the best football coaches in the country. And what he did at Oregon was unbelievable. He had a lot of success in the NFL too. At times, certainly at the end, it wasn't as successful as he would have liked, but now you can see it go again. And nothing's changed with him. He's still a great coach. He just inherited a tough situation, but you can start to see all the hard work coming back, and what a great win for that program.
Second row left. Nathan?
Looking back at the way CJ was used on Thursday, it seemed like with Justin, you guys didn't throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage that much at all. It seemed like, and there was more of that with CJ. Is that using his strengths? Is that because of the strengths of the guys you're trying to get the ball to? Kind of what was the plan behind that?
We've always had that stuff. Justin did some of that as well, and so did Dwayne. And we felt like in that game plan that fit what they were doing, and so we utilized that. And some of it is based on what the defense is giving us as well. And so we'll just kind of take each game plan and figure out if that fits, and if it does, we'll go from there.
As you kind of evaluated his performance, or maybe even just talk to him about what happened in that game, I guess, what do you have a better understanding of now after that conversation and reevaluating it? I just think going through a first game and going through some of that adversity early on opened your eyes to some things, and then working through that was great. So it's just the first step in a long journey for our offense and certainly for CJ, and so we'll see what this week brings us. Over here, like a better concept of how to call a game the next time, having gone through this the first time with him in a live situation, a real game?
No, I think I've kind of seen this before and been through it, so I kind of got it, but it's always unique. You're never sure what you're going to get, and you just got to adapt from there.
Over here to the far right. Dom?
Coach, how big of a challenge is this? And as you look at them in years past, I think Ohio State probably had the edge in a physical standpoint. How about this time around?
Well, I think that Coach Cristobal is somebody who has a background in in line play and brings a style of toughness to the table. And I think that they've embodied that, and they've recruited really well. They're very, very athletic. It's a very, very good team that's coming in here with a lot of good players, and so it is a major challenge. And we're going to have to play and keep up with them speed-wise, and then they're going to be strong in the middle. We got to be strong in the middle. So anytime you go against a very good program like that, they have power, they have strength, they have toughness, but they also have speed and athleticism.
Can you give the fans an idea of what it was like for CJ, first start, never thrown a pass in college, to go into that kind of situation, and then I don't know how much will that help him down the road that he hung tight.
Well, now you can say that you have done it before. I mean, there was a lot of things going into that game that we could say that CJ hadn't done, and a lot of guys hadn't done, but he had never even thrown a pass. And it's one thing to be a first-time starter. It's another thing to be doing everything for the first time and going on the road, playing in front of fans, being a starter, throwing a pass in a game, all those things, throwing your first interception, throwing your first touchdown. Those are all new things for him. And so anytime those things are new like that, there's a toll that's taken. And so once it's behind you, then you can go upon that and use it as a reference point. And that's what we're going to do.
So with that said, they say you make the most improvement from week 1 to week 2. What do you expect out of him?
I mean, I don't know. I think we have to keep growing. I know that's the case in a lot of situations because it gives you an idea where your team's at, and then you kind of go from there. But this is a game that, obviously we've known this is coming for a long time, and we've been preparing, and so nothing's changed. I mean, this will be the first time playing in the Horseshoe now. So here we go, with the fans and everything like that. So again, another new experience for everybody, a noon game, for all these young players, and certainly the quarterback's one of them. And so we'll go from there. But nothing's changed in terms of taking care of the football, running the offense, and being a great leader.
Third row middle. Murph?
Ryan, back to the running backs. I think Master was leading carries when you guys went into halftime. We didn't see him again. I assume that was a tactical thing. What went into the decision to kind of take out your veteran running back?
So again, I kind of leave those decisions to Tony based on what he's seen in practice. And again, that game was unique in that there was only, we felt like we played half a game because there's only 48 gradable plays. So maybe the numbers would have been different if it was a longer game and we got into 70 plays like we typically do. But again, we'll just kind of leave that up to Tony as he does the rotation. We'll talk about it before and we'll agree on it, and then just see where it goes. But it's going to be a long season, so we're going to need everybody regardless.
After the game, you were asked about the secondary. I think you said you wanted to look at the film. Just as having a few days now, what was kind of your overall evaluation of how you guys played?
I thought they competed. I thought that there was an edge to them. I thought there was an energy to them. Was there mistakes? Absolutely. Was there missed tackles? Yes. Was there some plays that they want back? Absolutely. But I think that there was again some learning. I think some of these guys, again, the first time they've been in a situation like that, and so now again another reference point. But overall, there was some really good things. For some young guys going in there, it certainly wasn't perfect. There's a lot of improvement to be made, and that has to happen. Otherwise, we won't win this game. I mean, we have to play really, really well in all three phases to win this game. This is a good team coming in here, so looking forward to seeing those guys take the next step.
Second row middle. Bill?
Yeah, about the linebackers. Obviously, you guys, just in general on defense, played a lot of guys. Was that the plan to play that many guys, or do you kind of leave that up to Kerry?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that you saw in that game was that they were changing personnel a lot. So they would go from 11 personnel to 13 with an extra tackle in the game. And so, when you make that big of a jump from, 11 to 12 to 13, we wanted to match personnel in that game because we felt like based on their style of play, that was really important. And so kind of what you saw in that game, it looked like a New York sidewalk at times. That guys are coming in, guys are coming out. And, I thought they could have given us a little bit more time to sub. We seemed a little rushed at times. And so, but that was unique to that game. But that being said, we are going to play depth, and we're going to roll those guys. We'll talk and meet about it as we head into the game based on how the guys practice.
And how did the linebackers play, and how do you feel about the defense in general coming out of that game?
I thought the linebackers did some good things. I think, again, it's all an inexperienced group. They have not played a lot of football. When you think of those 4 guys that left last year, a lot of games, a lot of snaps under their belt. So there was some good things, and there's definitely potential there. There's some plays that they wish they had back. Overall, as a group, I thought it was a solid performance, but again, room for some growth there. On defense, again, to create those turnovers, they almost created 3 turnovers. The one, Dallas gets the follow through on the pass, on roughing the passer there, and that was a tough call. I think if that goes the other way, you have a chance for 3 turnovers now. That's really important in today's game when you can get turnovers like that, and especially when you can get a turnover score. That's when you can turn the game upside down. So that part I was really excited about. I think the tackling overall was okay. We missed some, but we also made some. I think holding them to explosive plays was pretty good overall. Obviously, the 4th and 1 wasn't great. I think we can do a better job in a red zone. So I think that there was some positives, but there were also some things we got to clean up.
5th row middle. Andrew?
You guys are going to wear a helmet decal this week for 9/11. Can you kind of recall that day for you, and then what's the message that you're going to tell your team, considering many of them weren't even alive?
Yeah. At some point this week, we're going to talk about what the significance of 9/11 is, and I think it's. Something. I was a junior in high school, or junior in college, and getting ready, I think, for a Tuesday practice, and I believe it was around like 9 a.m. or 9:30, and getting ready to go to my class, and then all of a sudden it came on the TV screen, and didn't end up going to class because just couldn't believe what we were seeing, and just remember calling home, and just for a few days after that, not feeling safe. They canceled our game that day, and went out to practice and wasn't even sure what to do. It was just. We had a player on our team who lost a family member, and it was just very, very real being in the Northeast. And it doesn't seem that long ago to me. And being from the Northeast, it was obviously a very, very difficult time. And this year brings up a lot of memories.
3rd row left. Mitch?
Hey, Ryan. You guys played in empty stadiums last year. First game, you go on the road. What was it like trying to communicate? Did you have to readjust to communicating the coaches and players with each other on the field? After so much time not having to worry about that noise.
This past Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was loud on 3rd down, and we had to handle that. We did have a couple of false starts where we could have done a better job of, with the cadence being louder and being more deliberate with all of that. That was important. I think just the electricity of a big play on their side, of just handling your emotions and keeping those type of things in check. I thought for the most part we played with pretty good discipline going into that environment, though, for a first game with a lot of young players. This game will bring a new set of challenges on defense. I'm hoping it's really loud when the other team has the ball, and on defense they're going to have to do a great job of communicating in that area. And the same thing, handling the crowd and the electricity and the emotion of the game.
Way back in the far right. Spencer?
Ryan, have you become numb to how good Chris and Garrett are in the open field? And if you haven't, is there ever a time where you just sit back and see those plays and wow, I have that at my disposal in this offense?
Yeah, I try not to be numb to it because I appreciate it so much, and I think that when you look at the work ethic that both of those guys have put in this offseason, it was significant, and I think that the way that they've been practicing in this preseason has allowed them to be, as dynamic as they are. And I think you're seeing them play fast right now and at a high level, and that's got to continue, but it all based on how they practice, and they've really practiced well. I thought their attitudes and their work ethic have been excellent this preseason, so if they can continue to bring that work ethic every day, that same attitude every day, it's going to go a long way for the offense.
I guess in that same vein, it seems like you guys challenge those guys to really focus on the little things. When you guys do that, see the way they work and see it on the field, have you seen those little things just become easier for them and get them getting better at those things?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I mean, we really see it every day, and just and sometimes it's on routes that they don't get the ball in practice, where you see somebody running a backside route where maybe they're third or fourth in a progression and they probably aren't going to get the ball, but they're working on something significant at the top of their route to make them better. And the quarterbacks and everybody notices those things, and that makes them better. When you're young, I'm not getting the ball right here. I'm just going to kind of go through the motions. But those are the type of things that we're seeing, and it is paying dividends.
Second row right, Austin.
Ryan, I'm not sure when Luke Wypler found out he might have been starting, but that was a tough situation for at that position. It's important as it is. What did you make of his debut there?
Yeah, I mean, there was some good plays. There were some not so good plays, but for a guy getting thrown into the fire, it was a hell of a start. I mean, I think that he really handled it well for a young player, and I'm proud of him. Now he's got to go, and now it's more than that. He's got to continue to build on that. But again, to get thrown in there and handle it the way he did as a young player was pretty impressive.
Did he do enough to keep that spot, or is Harry a long-term issue? How will that, I'm not trying to get into the availability report, but how will that shake out for your line?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep practicing, and if Luke keeps doing what he's doing, then he's going to obviously play a lot. So, we'll see how this week shakes out, but he's now proven that he can play in conference play. But this is a new challenge. This is the Pac-12 and one of the top teams in the country against a really good defensive line. So, we'll see how this week shakes out.
Second row left, Bill.
Ryan, I guess there's some uncertainty as to whether or not Kayvon Thibodeaux will play, but I'm sure you're preparing as if he will. Just what stands out about him when you watch him on film?
Yeah, I mean, very, very talented, very explosive, can create a lot of disruption, very strong. Can see things fast, change direction, and just has a knack for the ball. So it's a big challenge for our guys. We've played against good players before, but he is very, very talented and probably one of the best players in the country. And so we're going to have to make sure that we know where he is and have a good plan for it. But the challenge is they have other good guys on that defense that are very, very athletic and very strong. So it'll be a big challenge for our guys.
What Nathan was asking about before with the passes behind the line of scrimmage, like when you're going to package those bubbles with the run game and the defense is just going to give you a free 6 yards basically on the outside, like how do you, I don't know, how do you balance just like thanks for the 7 yards with I still want to take shots down the field and be an explosive offense?
Yeah, I mean we want to run the ball. We want to stretch it horizontally and then stretch it vertically. That's the idea of the offense. And so the only way that works, though, is if the guy's on a perimeter block. I mean, those plays, they look easy, but they're not. Guys have to do a great job. And the execution on that when you're out in space is a lot different than when you're in tight quarters running the football, where I'm kind of blocking my guy and he's on my body and I can – out in space, there's just a lot of room in there. And so the detail of the spacing, of the blocking, of making sure we don't get penalties out there, and then the receivers catching the ball and knifing and becoming a running back. Those are all the things that come into play with that. And it's been a major emphasis for us in the off season, but it always is. I mean, that's something that has been a part of our game, for the last 5 years here.
Yeah, those and I guess the other kind of, I don't know, second level RPOs, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if you did a ton of those with Justin because he obviously has a pretty good run threat. Do you incorporate those more now because CJ just isn't quite the same runner as Justin is?
No, I mean, we really haven't changed much that way. CJ can run the ball and he will. And we're going to incorporate as many of those things as we can, play action passes, and we just try to mix it up the best we can based on what we're seeing that week.
Third row right, Tim. Got two more individuals. Tim, go ahead.
Individuals. Okay. Denzel Burke, freshman, starting his first game. What was just your impression of the way he played? You touched on it a minute ago, but he seemed to almost get better as the game went on.
I think so, and I think the best, obviously his best football is ahead of him. He's just a young, true freshman out there playing in his first game, and it's a conference game on the road. And talk about getting thrown to the fire. But he's competed since he's got here. He practices really, really hard, and he deserved a start. He did, and it's based on how he worked in the spring, how he worked in the preseason. And I think if you ask our receivers, he's a very, very talented young man. Now he's got to continue to grow. He's got a long way to go. He's going to make some mistakes, but if he can learn from those mistakes, then he'll have a chance to be a very good player down the road.
You watched Thibodeaux lead the game. It seemed like, for want of another term, the ferocity kind of left Oregon's defense for a while, and it came back in the fourth quarter. Like you just pointed out, some guys stepped up, including the Justin Flo kid. But what just stands out about them, about the way they play defensively?
They're downhill. They have a lot of speed. They're very well coached. Coach DeRuiter is a former head coach, was at Fresno, was at A&M with Von Miller down there, and he really knows what he's doing, and he creates a lot of chaos. He brings a lot of blitzes, and they have a lot of speed, and they get to the ball fast. This is a good defense that we're going up against.
Hey, one quickie. What did Chip Kelly? What is his legacy right now in college football? What he brought? I mean, obviously, even Urban went out there and studied him a few times during his sabbatical year of 2011. But what has he kind of opened up for everybody, including yourself, offensively, the way to attack things, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously meant a lot more to me than anybody else, in terms of just in my career. But I think certainly. When I played, he actually went to visit Kevin Wilson when he was at Northwestern. He visited, a lot of different coaches along the way. And really, when that spread offense was making its run and the no huddle was making its run, I mean, he was on the forefront of that. And then to see what he did at Oregon, and then from there, I think that he was one of the guys who were I guess could you say we were responsible for the spread offense, for the no huddle offense, and one of the pioneers in that area. But I think that you'll find, I mean, he has a great football mind. It isn't just about being a spread guy. I mean, he can do it in 22 personnel or any other way and attack you. But I think that if somebody were just to ask the average person, what do you think about his legacy in college football at this point, I would say it's probably something like that.
And final questions, second row middle, Doug.
Ryan, at times in the past you've expressed admiration for the throwaway by the quarterback, make a good decision, just get rid of the ball. The opposite side of that, how do you evaluate maybe when something is there and the quarterback doesn't throw it? Maybe he's just a little uncertain, especially with the young quarterback. And I don't know how many times that might have happened with CJ, but how do you evaluate that and then work with them to, hey, that was a time where you could have let it go?
Yeah, I mean, that's the balance. That's the art of playing. And, if you have to have too many of those conversations, you probably have the wrong guy. So, there's just certain times where you see a guy open, you miss the throw. Why is that? Were your feet not right? Were your eyes not right? Those type of things. If for whatever reason the ball wasn't thrown and it was supposed to be thrown, then that's a whole nother set of issues that we have to figure out. I didn't see that a lot. I think he saw the game pretty good. He did miss a couple things, but that's part of playing in your first game. And he also made a bunch of throws too. Certainly the one to Chris, 1 inch in, right over the top of that flat defender to the field was an excellent throw, and then made a couple other ones as well. So there was some good, there was some not so good, but again, that's part of playing quarterback.
And again on Thibodeaux, especially assuming he plays, it seems like most rush ends now, they'll move side to side, right? I mean, even the 4 series he played, he was on the left side sometimes the right. Mm-hmm. With a younger tackle like DeJuan, do you kind of expect, hey, they might try to put Kayvon over him more? And just specifically on DeJuan, handling a matchup like that, how you guys might help him there? Do you think you could see that a lot?
I mean, they move him around, like you said. They can put him to the left, put him to the right, move him all over the place, and it'll be a challenge, for both of our tackles. And, they just have to continue to work hard and have a plan and do a great job of preparation this week. And there might be times where they get beat, and certainly we don't want that. But, if that happens, they're just going to regroup and keep playing. But we have some really good defensive ends here that those guys go against every day. And so they'll be prepared, and we'll have a plan to help them.
And is it just the name of trying to get more plays for the offense? What about like on the big throws to Chris and Garrett, if instead of them going like 60 or 70 yards, they take a knee after like 20?
I think that we're probably just going to let them go.
Just trying to help.
With that, Coach, we're going to let you go.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much.